Hi everybody. I wanted to look at a little bit, do something a little bit different today, and look at some talk going around in the hobby right now. As you can see, I have this article brought up from the Sports Collectors Daily. CEO of Beckett parent company pleads guilty in insurance fraud case. So this is not looking good for Beckett. I already know some people who just don't even want anything to do with their Beckett slabs anymore. I don't personally own any Beckett slabs. I have before in the past. I don't own any now. I've never had a large collection of Beckett slabs. Um, I'm in the main reason for that, honestly, is because I actually don't really like their slabs. I know a lot of people do. I'm just not one of them. So I was never a really big fan of how they look or anything. I understand they have the sleeve in there to help protect the card and all that. Um, I don't like how they look. My favorite slabs are tag slabs. I think that CGC, which I actually haven't really had a lot of experience with CGC slabs, I think that they're probably pretty similar to tag. They're very clear, um, and they really highlight the card really well. Uh, and then PSA, I'm not a big fan of their slabs either, but they're way better than Beckett slabs in my opinion. So that's the main reason why I don't have any of those slabs, but that's kind of beside the point. So their CEO's having some issues. I'm curious what's going to happen with this company. Uh, really curious. I'm going to bring up gem rate really quickly here on Instagram, showing the month of November and the total graded. And Beckett is just falling off a cliff right here. Not even in the same ballpark with PSA. Now, no one's really in the same ballpark with PSA, honestly. And so that's, that is what it is. We can see right here if we look at items graded by month over the past, this is actually the past, what, 3 years? The PSA is just pulling away here from everybody. But anyway, so PSA, they're king, and people really value their slabs, and they take a premium. And that's just how it is in the hobby right now. So, but one thing I'm curious about is what's going to happen in the hobby with some of these other grading companies, because I think that there's room for change in the hobby, um, in lots of ways. And PSA has made some changes that I'm aware of, some small changes that they've made. Beckett was doing some weird stuff, trying to make some changes about their grading scale, and they were doing all sorts of stuff that I guess none of that's happening now. I don't know. But I want to look at what Tag's doing. As you know, I like uh, the company. I like what they do. I'm not a fan of everything that they do. I think their slabs are the best on the market. I think that their grading process uh, is really extraordinary. Um, and I think their technology is very good, actually. Now, whether or not they can get any market share is a whole different question, right? So, if we go over here, we can see what they've done over the past little over a year. This goes all the way back over here to what is that? September of 2023, right? And you can see they're not doing a whole lot. Now, Tag has only very recently opened up their their grading services on a broad scale. Let me bring up their website really quickly and show you what I mean by that. So we have Verify X and we have S, right? Now, one thing that they used to have was only S, right? They only used to have S. They opened up X, which is kind of just their more uh, their grading scale from 1 through 10 and so forth. You don't get the 3-point score if you're familiar with the 3-point score at all with Tag, and they have the more premium product, which is the S score. Now, in order to order these products, especially the S score, you used to have to wait for a drop, and that would be either listed through their Discord or through Instagram or something, right? And you had to wait for it and to be at the specific time, and it would maybe be open, and they'd sell out, and all these different things. And um, so Tag is still, even though they've been around for a while in the sense of the actual company, they've really only been on the market in a broad sense, I would say, for maybe a year. I don't know exactly when S opened up in um, this way where I could just right now I could purchase Escort slabs if I wanted to. Right, that has not been the case for a long time. So I consider this company still very new, actually. So I want to see what they're going to do in the market. They have a lot of things hindering them. All right, a lot of things. But let's just look at their pop reports again. You can see right here these big spikes. That's all Pokemon. So there's a lot of Pokemon uh, grades going on. That's the majority of their population. The vast majority of their population is TCG, and sports is obviously secondary to that. Now that's not necessarily super unique to Tag. If you look at the breakdown, I think this might even be on gem rate. If we look at these, this is sports, and then here's TCG. You can see with PSA, it's almost half and half. So they obviously have more sports here, um, and CGC is kind of like Tag in the sense that they're heavy on TCG and non-sport. Um, so that's kind of where Tag is they have a lot of uh, product for Pokemon, and they're actually going to be opening up Yu-Gi-Oh, I believe, pretty soon. I don't know exactly when that's going to happen, but that's on their list of things to do. So, but anyway, that's what's going on. I'm curious though what's going to happen with Beckett, and there's going to be a market share there, right? So, does PSA just take all of that? Does that market share of Beckett get spread out through SGC and PSA? Does somebody buy up Beckett? Does Fanatics buy Beckett? Does Collectors buy Beckett? Um, the name Beckett holds value still, I think, in the hobby. And so you guys can all let me know your thoughts down in the comments. But I'm really curious what's going to happen with this. I think that Beckett's made a lot of obviously bad decisions, and obviously they've had some really bad internal things going on. Um, and so I'm curious what's going to happen with that. If we look at some other data from Tag, we can see right here. This is again kind of numeric breakdown. You can see of week on week what they've had as far as if you look at the bottom row there, you can see what they've done by week. So they have some big weeks, they have some lower weeks, and so on. I would say the month of November they were probably around anywhere from 10 to 15,000 total graded. Somewhere in there is where they were, but they've had some much bigger weeks and months. Obviously, you can see some of these big spikes in here of people getting these Pokemons uh, graded. If we look at this, you can see their total pop right here. Now, I think this is fairly up to date, but you can see Pokemon vastly outweighs the rest of their pop, right? You can see baseballs in second right here. Probably a lot of that has to do with Tag primarily, again, really opening up their products on a broad basis during the baseball season. So that's kind of what makes sense to me. Uh, and so I'm actually curious what's going to happen with basketball here. So we're going to see how this plays out over the next year. I'm really going to be watching this closely to see what happens with Tag over 2025. We're moving into 2025. There's been a lot of things that they have been talking with kind of their group of people uh, about what they want to start implementing, right? So I just mentioned Yu-Gi-Oh is one of them, but there's other things, right? If you don't know, Tag only grades back to 1989 products. So they don't do anything before that, which there's a massive market for vintage. And so vintage, they don't have anything in that market at all. So there's a lot of people that that's primarily what they collect is vintage, right? So they won't even touch Tag because they can't, right? There's no point. So, um, and then Tag has very specific grading procedures on the thickness of what they can grade because theirs is tech based. Now, I don't know what's going to happen with Tag. I don't know if they're going to be around in 10 years. I don't know. But one thing I do think is going to have to happen in the hobby with whoever stays on top, whether that's PSA or CGC or whatever. I don't know what's going to happen in the future, right? As we can see with Beckett, things can change pretty quickly in a 6 year, 7 year time frame, right? Um, it wasn't that long ago when Beckett 9.5s were valued uh, maybe even above PSA 10s, right? Um, so things can change, and I think PSA is going to have to do some stuff to stay on top. And uh, I think one of those things is going to be technology. And Tag has been implementing technology, and so we're going to see what PSA does. I could be wrong, right? But this isn't something that's going to happen overnight either, right? This is going to be something that takes the course of years for really some things to change. But things can change slowly, and so I'm going to be curious to see if Tag can creep up here into this top four grouping at all. And they may not. They may not. So I have a lot of my PC in Tag Slabs, primarily because I like the information I get. Now, obviously, I'm limited to 1989 to the present, right? But that's mostly what I have in my collection anyway, so it doesn't affect me too much that they don't do any of that. But I would like to get into vintage. I really actually would. Um, and so I won't be able to grade with tag if I'm doing stuff in vintage. So I just want to take a little bit of a change here and talk about some stuff going on in the hobby. Um, as far as a little bit of change on the channel, and then I have some orders coming in. We'll do some breaks, some personal breaks of mine, I should say, and we'll see some orders coming in. I do have an order with Tag, and I'm putting together an order with PSA. I'll be putting together an order with PSA as well. Primarily, the stuff that I do with PSA is stuff that I'm looking to, uh, at least right now, a lot of the stuff that I've had that's not part of my PC that I want to sell, that I think can gem and sell. I've done quite a bit of that already, actually. So anyway, I'm gonna leave it at that. Let me know your thoughts. Let me know your thoughts. A lot of us out there, I know, uh, are they're stringent. PSA is king, and that's how it's going to be always. Might be right. Might be right. But let me know your thoughts about Beckett too. What's going to happen with them? Do they get bought out? Um, does Beckett stick around? Does Beckett survive? What's going to go on? So let me know your thoughts down below and subscribe, like, and let's talk about what's going on in the hobby.